There may be a massive trade coming for the Boston Red Sox now that the regular season is officially over and that we fell short of the playoffs. Things are going to pick up this offseason, and they've already started, as it seems like one of the star players on this Boston Red Sox roster opted out before the season even ended. I'll break down the full story on this episode of Red Sox Digest. Let's get right to it and break down the major changes coming to the Sox bullpen. Now, yes, we are talking about Kenley Jansen. I'm not going to let the suspense kill you any longer. The star that we're referring to coming out of the bullpen is Kenley Jansen, and it seems like the relationship and everything going on between Kenley and the Red Sox organization has fully depleted, and it's as close to over as it's actually going to be until the contracts are just dispersed and he is on a different team. So now let's get to it and break down what I'm actually talking about. Now, the first one is this article written by Patrick McCovey that's titled, "Could two-time All-Star on the trade block replace Red Sox Kenley Jansen? Now, should the Red Sox consider a major trade this winter?" Now, we'll go on to break it down, but again, we'll get into the actual drama of Kenley Jansen in just a second after this article. It goes on to say there clearly will be some changes made, and it has already been speculated that star Kenley Jansen won't be re-signing with the team this winter in free agency. Boston will have Liam Hendriks as an option to replace Jansen, but the club will need to add more firepower to the bullpen after a down year. Now, before we move on, without a doubt, I agree with this in McCovey here. You cannot have Liam Hendriks as the number one option coming out of the bullpen to be the number one closer for you. Regardless of the situation, yes, he's a great relief pitcher in a way. I would not put him as the number one closer on the Red Sox or really any team for that matter. Yes, he's getting older. The velo is not as high as some of the other options. And again, there's a lot of talent in the MLB. We can possibly go out, make a trade, possibly find someone in free agency. We just have to figure it out. I don't believe Liam Hendriks is going to be the answer, especially long-term, but maybe even short-term for this Boston Red Sox team coming out of the bullpen to play the role as the number one closer. Now we'll go on to say one player who surprisingly could be available and makes some sense is the St. Louis Star reliever Ryan Helsley. It seems like the Cardinals are near a rebuild, and it has been reported that Helsley would have trade interest this winter by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Derek Gould. Now he goes on to say, and I quote, "After a record 49 saves at closer, Ryan Helsley is set for an arbitration jackpot, but he also will command interest from other teams in a significant return for a team looking beyond 2025. Helsley's final year under control," Gould said. Now, this is very accurate. Obviously, Ryan Helsley has been very, very good up to this point in his career pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals as a closer. You know, the velocity's there. The slider is a wipeout slider, especially when you tag team it with a 101 mile per hour fastball. He's there to get 3 to 4 outs, and he can do that damn well. There's no way around it. He's a great pitcher, and it just comes down to the package required to go out and get someone like Helsley. What are the Cardinals in the entire organization going to be looking at to get in return? Are they going to see if that's going to be the biggest piece they move this offseason? And if it is, obviously the price tag may follow in the sense that he may be very, very expensive as a very live arm who's not relatively old, and he checks the boxes. Velocity is way up. The slider is gross. And again, he's not very old. He can pitch for a long time. And he'd be a very big point of this bullpen and really the entire relief system of the Boston Red Sox. But we'll move on, and we're going to break down why Kenley Jansen and the relationship between Jansen and the Boston Red Sox could possibly already be in dismantle. I believe it is. And again, this is one of the few quotes we're going to cite. The first one, again, from Chris Colito on Twitter. He goes on to say, "Kenley Jansen went home and his locker/nameplate were replaced at Fenway." And he goes on to say, and I quote, "He went home," Cora said. "I talked to him this week. As soon as it was over 2 days ago, he wasn't going to pitch. There's also stuff we talked about, other stuff that's going on with him. So, yeah," end of quote. And again, I know that quote is very mismatchy. We're about to break down the actual article that came from. But again, the idea of the locker and the nameplate being gone, and I have more details coming right now. Again, this is a quote that comes from Sean McAdam in this article published just yesterday. And this leaves me to believe it is over with the Red Sox and Kenley Jansen. I don't think he is returning. Obviously, this was the second and final year of a two-year deal, with Kenley Jansen that the Red Sox signed him to after he left the Atlanta Braves. So it's fair to say that obviously the contract's over. Obviously, we could see the Red Sox come out and pursue him in free agency because he does become an unrestricted free agent. But again, doesn't seem like it's going to happen, and this is why. Sean McAdam goes on to say, it was telling that when the clubhouse opened Friday afternoon before the final homestand, his nameplate had already been removed from atop his locker, as if the club was trying to scrub any evidence that he had been a part of this year's team. Such additions are rare indeed. Chase Sugar, who had a temporary locker, was suddenly in the place Jansen occupied for 2 seasons. Now, it gets even worse in the sense that, according to one Red Sox player, Jansen entered the training room last Sunday before his team's split doubleheader with the Minnesota Twins and announced that he would pitch in the first game and that would be it. Indeed, somewhat strangely, he pitched the top of the 9th inning of a game in which the Sox were leading by 8 runs. He later told reports that he was done pitching for the season. He suggested they confirm that with the team. After the second game, following some confusion from team officials throughout the day, Cora revealed that Jansen was dealing with a sore shoulder and wouldn't pitch again in the final week. Now, it seems like we have 2 parties here in Kenley Jansen and the Boston Red Sox organization led by Cora, obviously, in this situation specifically. And it seems like both parties have just accepted and are okay with the fact that this isn't going to work out, and neither of them really want it to work out. At least that is the picture I am being painted from all the quotes and everything else that we're breaking down. And again, this is the last one we are going to cite. This is the last quote that we're going to break down. And again, this is another quote from this article, Sean McAdam, that was posted by Boston Sports Gordo. And again, just going on the breakdown, Kenley Jansen's decision to go home early did not sit well with the Red Sox clubhouse. As one player said, and I quote, "I can't say I'm too surprised." And that was the end of the quote. And then finally, Kenley was also, and I quote, "somewhat aloof," and end of quote, during his Sox tenure. He was even at times unsure of some teammates' names. So it seems like Kenley Jansen is not really being applauded and beloved on his way out of Boston. It seems like it may be kind of a thankful moment for some of the teammates who just kind of felt disrespected by him, as well as possibly even parts of the staff. And again, it's just really, really hard to watch, as I feel like this was kind of a Brut kind of move, in the sense that it was kind of, we were okay, we were all level throughout the season, things didn't seem too bad. And then it just crashed. Everything crashed, and it was like, you know what? It's been coming for a long time. You're okay with it. I'm okay with it. No one's going to fight to bring you back. You're not going to argue to get signed by us, and we're not going to pursue you in free agency. So that's going to be it. Obviously, it's not ending that pretty in a way. Obviously, it seems like the bridges may burn here between the parties. But again, the Red Sox will let Kenley walk because, again, the second year of his 2-year deal. He'll reach free agency. Some team will go out, bring in a brand new closer in Kenley Jansen, and the Boston Red Sox hopefully will go out and they can possibly make a trade with the Cardinals like we highlighted in this video earlier, or possibly any other team to bring in another high leverage, a big name closer to be the number 1 guy out of the bullpen for this Red Sox team. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Red Sox Digest. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.